What is it? When we first start saying artificial intelligence, right? This whole idea, it's bigger than what you think, right? It is this whole field of study. And the whole idea is that it's trying to create systems, platforms, things that typically require human intelligence, right? So, things where we have people thinking. This is not the case now. We are really trying to drive innovation in technology. And we're trying to create machines that are actually doing this kind of human intelligence and thinking. So artificial intelligence, as we all call it, AI, I'm sure you've already heard that, it specifically refers to using computer systems, okay, to perform tasks. That means to actually do things that would usually require humans to do it. And so at its core, at the absolute base of what we're talking about, AI, it involves creating algorithms. And I'm sure you've probably heard or seen in the media about algorithms and especially like on things like social media and how algorithms can take you down these different places. So algorithms are just kind of training modules, and they're just kind of like saying, what did you like? What did you like? What did you like? And just trying to show you again and again more of the same things. So the AI is going to be creating algorithms and models that can actually analyze data, that can really sit there and sift through this data to identify patterns, to figure out things. Again, that example that I just gave you. So if we were sitting there looking at talking about Netflix, and we were talking about, the fact that I like to watch the Bridgertons or perhaps other romantic, cute shows, right? Algorithms are going to analyze this data. It's going to identify some of these patterns, and then it's going to make decisions based on that analysis. So then it's going to provide suggestions based on that data, which is much easier, of course, than me sitting there saying, I like this, I like that, or having a customer service person from Netflix call me up and say, Elizabeth, what movies do you like? What would you like to see more of? Now we have AI that can do these things for us. So, there we go. So let's just go into some definitions and some concepts, right? Just to keep things really, I want to say, simple and as clear as possible. So as we were talking about artificial intelligence, we've already defined it as this sort of capability of a machine to imitate, to pretend to be human. And I know that sounds kind of frightening because we're all thinking about Terminator and movies with robots and things like that, but that's not exactly what's going on here. This type of machine, it includes learning and reasoning and problem solving. I mean, these are the things that are absolutely amazing. When you start talking about how can a machine learn? How can it do more the next time? How can a machine actually reason? And this is why, again, artificial intelligence, I mean, it's exactly what the name implies. It is intelligence that is artificial. It is intelligence that is not human, right? So as we're talking about being able to reason, being able to solve a problem, being able to perceive something and say, is it this or is it that? It's also language understanding. So, what is this AI? What is this machine understanding? What are the nuances in the speech, in the words that it is picking up? And so all of these concepts are what are hugely important to understanding this potential that AI can have. As you can see, you can just imagine the fabulous uses that we can all have from artificial intelligence. And you've probably understood that I am someone who, even though I really am very much in the child online protection space, and I really am always looking out for parents and caregivers, I truly, truly believe that technology is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity if used responsibly, if used ethically. And so that's why we need this type of education to understand, right? Sometimes people will say something like a knife is a tool. It can be used to cause harm. It can also be used as a tool in a kitchen to create wonderful things. It can be used in whittling, in sculpture. So all of these types of things, it just depends on the opportunity and the responsible use of that tool. Same thing with artificial intelligence. So let's just talk briefly, really briefly, about the history, because really this could go on. We could do a whole session on the history of AI. But I just want you to realize again that it's not something that just popped up maybe 2 years ago when everyone got very excited about ChatGPT, because I think that's when most people started saying, oh my gosh, AI, what's going on? And we've had AI since the mid 20th century, right? Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. We were using it in early research in computing, and there were really some significant milestones. Things like Alan Turing, a fabulous scientist who created the Turing Test, which was basically this test that evaluates whether a machine is intelligent. Does a machine, can it have that artificial intelligence, those capabilities? This was truly the beginning, the advent of machine learning. And after that, it was just breakthrough after breakthrough. As you can imagine, and let me give you a different example, because as we're talking about AI, you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, this is already, I don't want to hear about computers. Let's use an example that we all know. Let's think about Morse code. And then how we had Morse code, the dots and the dashes, and then we had radio, and then we had television, and all of these things led to different types of innovations and technological breakthroughs. Same thing with AI, with research in computing. Started off small, but as soon as they were able to just sort of leapfrog onto each other, they were making leaps and bounds in technological advance. Again, starting from the mid 20th century. Then we have the Alan Turing test. Then we've got machine learning breakthroughs, and we're absolutely able to see that machines are learning. They are learning not only from the data, but they're able to improve their performance. Okay, so that's like if we sat here and we were looking at our data, and let's say I'm watching myself do presentations after presentations, and I say, maybe next time I can use a different type of PowerPoint, or I can speak to a different matter, or maybe I should insert more on the history, right? Improving performance. This is what machine learning was able to do. Then we just, again, huge leap where we got to something called neural network development. And this is where it became hardcore, where we are absolutely able to see that neural networks, computers can actually mimic and pretend to be a human brain. They can pretend to do this human brain process for complex learning tasks. Now, I don't know about you, but if you sit there and think about a computer being able to do what a human brain can do, this is mind-boggling. Do you remember when you were younger and you probably saw in a biology class, and they would say things like looking at a parrot, and I think it's the African gray that is one of the smartest birds on the earth, right? And it has the vocabulary, it can have the vocabulary of a 3-year-old child, right? Or even like a German Shepherd, a dog that is like so intelligent and able to do, things that perhaps a 3-4-year-old child can do. These are animals able to mimic human brain processes. But now here we're talking about computers. We're talking about chips and plastic and wires that are able to imitate and go further. So you can see how all of this is leading us to present day innovations in AI technology, because as we talk about the African gray, or we talk about, I don't know, I think dolphins are also hugely, wildly intelligent. It's not as though dolphins are talking to us today, right? Or our dogs or birds, right? It's like they've got to a certain level and it stopped. Computers are getting to that level, and then they're going to another level, and then another level. They are improving with performance. So I think it's pretty exciting.